DJ Valentina Trespiacios was a rising star in the music industry whose promising life ended tragically and unexpectedly. In January 2023, the Colombian rapper Valentina Trespiacios was discovered dead inside a blue suitcase dumped in a trash bin outside Bogotá. The police quickly identified their prime suspect. However, the 35-year-old friend from Wisconsin had already fled the country, complicating efforts to locate him. Valentina was born on December 16, 2001, to Laura Hidalgo and Giovanni Trespiacios. She was the second of 4 children, all of whom lived with their mother in Bogotá. During Valentina's childhood, her father left the family and was not involved in raising the children. Her mother became the sole provider, doing everything she could to raise well-rounded kids. It was evident that Valentina made some good choices, judging by the way her life unfolded. Her older brother, Daniel, described her as always being exceptionally wise. After finishing school, Valentina began working as a DJ to help support her family financially. Her biggest dream was to one day buy her mother a house to thank her for everything she had done. Still, Valentina often felt anxious about what the future held. She had a clear vision for her life and was determined to make it happen. According to Daniel, her strong, warrior-like spirit played a major role in helping her pursue her dreams. While Valentina initially aimed to become a model or enter the entertainment industry, she always knew deep down that music was her true passion. She started going to clubs at just 15 years old, and it was during one of these nights out that she met local businessman Pablo Silva. Pablo was the one who introduced Valentina to the possibility of becoming a DJ. He encouraged her to pursue it as a career, and Valentina didn't need much convincing. She already loved clubbing and DJing, so the idea felt like a dream coming to life. They crossed paths occasionally, and in February 2019, when Valentina was 17, she excitedly told Pablo she had completed a course and was now a certified DJ. Pablo was delighted by the news and offered to manage her. He mentioned he had connections in the industry who could support her career. Before long, he secured her a few gigs at smaller clubs to help her gain experience and start building her name. Everything seemed to be moving in the right direction. However, as they spent more time together, it became clear that their connection went beyond just business. They started dating, but Pablo continued to act as her manager despite the potential conflict of interest. Over the next few years, Valentina thrived in her new career, quickly making a name for herself as one of Colombia's most promising young DJs. This rising status gave her access to some of the country's top clubs. After 3 years together, the couple eventually broke up. Despite the split, Pablo remained her manager, suggesting the breakup was likely amicable. After all, continuing to work together wouldn't have made sense if things had ended badly. Their professional partnership had proven beneficial for both, and Valentina's career was only gaining more momentum. Though she came from a low-income background and was raised by a hard-working mother juggling multiple jobs, Valentina was now enjoying a successful and exciting lifestyle. Still, despite her fame and the glamorous perks of DJ life, she never forgot her roots and stayed committed to supporting her family in every way she could. With each passing month, Valentina seemed to be getting closer to fulfilling her dream of buying a house for her mother. Once she had taken some time to recover from her breakup with Pablo, she started thinking about dating again. She was young, attractive, engaging, and had a cool job, making it easy for her to connect with new people. After downloading Tinder, she began browsing through profiles of people who caught her interest. One man in particular stood out. He was 34 years old when he first connected with Valentina. Although he was originally from Wisconsin and still lived in the U.S., the distance didn't stop them from starting a conversation. They hit it off right away, and after a few days of chatting, they decided to meet in person. Instead of John traveling all the way to Colombia, they agreed to meet in Mexico. A practical choice, since it was a midway point, and Valentina had already been invited to perform at a music festival there. When they met in person, the connection they felt online carried over. Despite the 13-year age gap and a language barrier, they decided to pursue something more serious. John was quickly captivated by Valentina. Her beauty, intelligence, and talent stood out to him. Valentina was more than just attractive. Her dedication to her career deeply impressed him. They extended their stay in Mexico by 2 more days, not ready to part ways after just a weekend. As they spent more time together, their bond grew stronger. However, there were things about John that Valentina didn't know. Truths that, had she been aware of them, might have made her think twice about being involved with him at all. John married Ashley in February 2009, and together they had 3 children. Their marriage seemed fairly typical, though Ashley recalled that John had a short temper. Things took a turn for the worse when one of their children was diagnosed with cancer. Ashley believed the stress of the situation changed him, and he was never the same afterward. She endured his increasingly difficult behavior for years before finally deciding she couldn't take it anymore. But when she filed for divorce, an even darker side of John emerged, one that showed little regard for his children or their mother. Before the divorce could be finalized, he transferred all their shared assets into an overseas account, making it impossible for Ashley to access the money they had built together. On top of that, he refused to pay child support, leaving her without the financial help she and the kids needed. Instead of supporting his own children, John chose to shower Valentina with gifts, without ever telling her that he had kids. He visited her in Colombia whenever possible, and they frequently went on vacations together. After a few months of dating, Valentina introduced him to her family, and they all quickly took a liking to him. He gave off the impression of being a kind and genuine person. Her brother Daniel recalled, "He took my mom and my 2 younger brothers out to eat at a nice restaurant in Bogotá. He seemed like a good guy." John even told Valentina that he wanted to marry her. Her mother, Lisa Hidalgo, believed he was someone who could truly care for and support her daughter. She saw trips they went on and always had a positive impression of John whenever he came to visit. Laura could clearly see how deeply Valentina cared for John. She truly envisioned a future with him. Despite being in the honeymoon phase of their relationship, Valentina didn't let her career slow down during the 10 months they were together. Her passion for music remained strong, even as her rising fame brought her more public attention. John, however, began to grow possessive. He didn't like that Valentina worked in nightclubs or interacted with other men, and he increasingly suspected her of being unfaithful. Although Valentina had done nothing wrong, John went so far as to hire a private investigator to follow her, hoping to catch her with someone else. He had already proposed and encouraged her to start planning their wedding. But it became clear that, for John, the proposal was more about control than love. John saw Valentina as his possession and wanted complete control over her life, including who she spent time with and how she used social media. His controlling behavior escalated to the point where he demanded that Valentina video call him from every DJ event she worked, using it as a way to monitor her from afar. If she interacted with other people, especially men, she would have to face John's anger. While Valentina's family noticed his possessiveness, they brushed it off as typical jealousy from an older man in love with a younger woman. But for Valentina, John's behavior became unbearable. By December 2022, their relationship was filled with constant arguments, and the tension between them was growing. Still, John planned a visit to see her in January, and insisted that he wanted to move forward with their relationship. He told her they should start apartment hunting and prepare for marriage. However, according to his own later admission, those promises were all lies. John told Valentina they would only stay at the Airbnb for a month or 2, while they searched for a permanent apartment together. But investigators later revealed that wasn't true. He had only rented the car for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. When John arrived in Colombia, he picked up the rental vehicle and drove straight to Valentina's family home to get her. He then brought her to the Airbnb he had booked. That night, they visited several clubs where Valentina often performed. Witnesses said they appeared to be enjoying themselves, drinking, laughing, and reconnecting after some time apart. The next day, John helped Valentina move her belongings into the Airbnb. She even FaceTimed her family to show them the place and share her excitement. That Saturday night, at 11 p.m., her 13-year-old brother Video called her, unaware it would be the last time anyone in her family would hear from her. They chatted on video call until midnight, and after that, nothing is known until the following afternoon around 2 p.m. Daniel recalled the date as January 23rd. For Valentina's family, the day had started like any other. No one had the slightest idea of the devastating news that would arrive later that evening. At 7:45 p.m., Pablo called Laura, and she was completely unaware of what he was about to tell her. Earlier that morning, Valentina's body had been discovered. A homeless man rummaging through trash cans came across a suitcase. When he tried to lift it, it was too heavy to move, so he suspected something was wrong. The man tried a few more times to pull the suitcase out, hoping it might contain something valuable. But as he struggled with it, a sense of unease crept in. He noticed the suitcase had been tightly wrapped in layers of tape. When he peeled some of it off, he found a white plastic bag inside, stained with blood. Realizing the situation might be serious, he immediately stopped and decided not to go any further. Instead, he contacted the police, who arrived quickly and secured the area. A forensic officer was called in to open the suitcase. Inside, they found the body of a young woman. Nearby, in the dumpster, officers discovered a small black purse containing Valentina's ID card, which allowed them to quickly confirm her identity. Valentina had been killed by strangulation. Her body was covered in bruises, showing the extent of the violence she endured. For her family, learning the details of how she died was unbearable. "The more we learn, the harder it gets," her brother said. "My sister's final moments must have been terrifying. Just think about it." The suitcase she was found in was small, and while Valentina was slender, she was also tall, forcing them to imagine the horrific effort it took to conceal her in that way. Investigators recovered Valentina's cell phone along with her ID. The phone was still charged, and when they checked it, they saw that Pablo had made numerous calls. When authorities reached out to Pablo to inform him of Valentina's death, he was shocked. He said she hadn't spoken to him in over 24 hours, which was highly unusual for her. But Pablo also had something critical to share with the police. Pablo gave the investigators a name, John Poulos, and urged them to look into him. Laura was also able to provide the police with the address of the apartment where John and Valentina had been staying. When investigators arrived, they found a modern building equipped with numerous surveillance cameras. Security footage showed John entering the apartment alone, carrying a large blue suitcase, one that closely resembled the suitcase Valentina's body would later be found in. After settling in, he left again, this time to pick up Valentina. A few hours later, both John and Valentina were seen returning to the apartment. She was carrying many of her belongings, which matched her family's account that Valentina believed she was moving in with John. The following day, surveillance footage captured them coming and going from the apartment. Witnesses also spotted them together at various clubs, seemingly enjoying a night out. In the early hours of January 22nd, surveillance footage showed John and Valentina entering the apartment together. But after that moment, Valentina was never seen alive again. She was not captured leaving the apartment, nor did anyone report seeing her. A few hours later, John was seen again, this time alone and carrying the same blue suitcase. But now, it appeared significantly heavier. Security cameras recorded John loading the suitcase into the trunk of his rental car in the building's garage. Before lifting it, he looked around cautiously to make sure no one was watching. Police later tracked the car's movements, which led them directly to the location where Valentina's body was discovered. By then, Valentina's murder had become a national news story. Major media outlets across the country were showing John Poulos's face, as authorities had officially named him the primary suspect in her death. Valentina's family and investigators were devastated to learn that John was no longer in Colombia. Shortly after the murder, he had boarded a plane to Panama. In a race against time, investigators contacted staff at Panama's Tacuman International Airport, hoping to intercept him. They learned that John had booked a flight to Sao Paulo, Brazil, but that wasn't the only ticket he had. In an attempt to throw off law enforcement, John had made multiple flight reservations, including one to Istanbul and another to a different location. But his plan to confuse authorities failed. While he waited at the gate to board his flight, armed police officers stormed in and arrested him before he could escape. His intended destination was Istanbul. Had they arrived just an hour later, John would have already been in the air. The question remained: why Istanbul? John's ultimate plan was to reach Montenegro, a country that does not have an extradition treaty with Colombia. He was doing everything he could to avoid facing justice for Valentina's murder. But the police had been closing in on him the entire time, and his escape plan was cut short. Just one day after his arrest in Panama, John was extradited back to Colombia. There, he was formally charged with femicide, a legal term used in Colombia to describe the murder of a woman specifically because she is a woman, most often committed by a man. The crime carries a minimum sentence of 40 years in prison. John's defense team repeatedly tried to delay the trial. Their main argument was that John couldn't properly understand the legal proceedings due to the language barrier. His trial had originally been scheduled to begin in April 2023, but the defense claimed that John hadn't been provided with an adequate translator while in custody. John's defense team even tried to challenge the femicide charge by claiming he didn't understand what it meant, arguing that the term isn't used in the U.S. The claim was bizarre and clearly a tactic to stall proceedings. Nonetheless, it led to another delay in the trial. Throughout the process, John and his legal team did everything they could to obstruct the case. At one point, they even alleged that Valentina had left the apartment after an argument, and that John hadn't seen her since. That defense made little sense given the surveillance footage showing John leaving with a heavy suitcase, one later found to contain Valentina's body. Despite the overwhelming evidence, John maintained his innocence. During a hearing in September 2023, he again claimed he had done nothing wrong. The mother, the friend, the club owner, the ex-boyfriend. They're all lying, he insisted. Colombia has chosen to violate my rights. My arrest was illegal, and there are many other ways in which the country has treated me unfairly. John claimed his biggest frustration was that he hadn't been allowed to present his proof. In October of the following year, but the proceedings went forward. His trial finally began in December 2023 and continued into January 2024. On the stand, John spoke about his relationship with Valentina. Yes, he said, Valentina was my love. She seemed so full of life when we first met. We had a great time together. As we spent more time together, I realized our lives were very different, but it felt like we were a perfect match. Yes, I did love her. According to John's version of events, the two had woken up late on January 21st and spent the day drinking and using drugs together in their apartment. After that, he claimed his memory became foggy. He said he just stayed in bed and slept. The next day, he added, we went out to party again because we had such a good time the night before. There was a lot of partying in a short span of time. And after that, I can't recall anything. That's the last memory I have. We both just fell asleep. However, the authorities believe something entirely different happened and claim to have solid evidence to back it up. According to some, John may have premeditated Valentina's murder, as he only rented the apartment for 3 days despite telling her they'd be staying there for a few months. Additionally, his decision to flee the country just hours after driving to the location where Valentina's body was later discovered adds to the case against him. For now, we can only wait to see what the court ultimately decides. Some reports suggest John may face a new trial, possibly scheduled for February of this year. Still, very few doubt that John was responsible for Valentina Tres Palacios' death. He took the life of a young woman who had so much ahead of her. Valentina was not only chasing her own dreams, but also helping support her family. She had goals she hadn't yet reached, and a future full of promise. Justice must be served, and he deserves to spend the rest of his life behind bars. If you found this case fascinating, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We post crime case videos every night. Until next time, stay sharp, stay vigilant.